day, and thank you for standing by. Welcome to the Huazhu Group Limited Q2 2021 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. After the speaker's presentation, there will be a question-and-answer session. To ask a question during the session, you will need to press star one on your telephone. Please be advised that today's conference is being recorded. If you require any further assistance, please press star zero. I would like to hand the conference over to your first speaker today, Jason. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Karina. Good morning and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to Huazhu Group's 2021 second quarter and interim earnings conference call. Joining us today is our founder and CEO, Mr. Ji Qi, our president, Mr. Jin Hui, our chief digital officer, Ms. Liu Xinxin, our CFO, Ms. Chen Hui, our deputy CFO, Ms. Ye Fei, and Mr. Li Dong. Following their prepared remarks, management will be available to answer your questions. Before we continue, please note that the discussion today will include forward-looking statements made under the Safe Harbor provision of the United States Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, our results may be materially different from the views expressed today. A number of potential risks and uncertainties are outlined in our public filings with the SEC. Huazhu Group does not undertake any obligations to update any forward-looking statements except as required by applicable laws. On the call today, we will also mention adjusted financial measures during the discussion of our performance. Reconciliation of those measures to comparable GAAP information can be found in our earnings release that was distributed yesterday. As a reminder, this conference call is being recorded. The webcast of this conference call, as well as supplementary slide presentation, is available on Huazhu Group's website at ir.huazhu.com. With that, now I will turn the call over to Mr. Ji Qi. Mr. Ji, please.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to give you an overview of our business. In the second quarter, our China RevPAR recovered to 102% of the same period of 2019, supported by strong leisure traveling demand in May, but offset by relative weak RevPAR recovery in June due to COVID-19 resurgence in Guangdong province and traffic control in Beijing. However, unfortunately, the Delta variant of COVID-19 was again detected in Nanjing since late July. with further spreading into many other provinces and cities, the Delta variant promoted the Chinese government post another round of strict traveling restrictions, which seriously affected our performance in August. Our European business saw some positive trend, with RevPAR recovering to 50 to 60% of 2019 level during the summer holiday. It's mainly due to the continued progress of vaccination and restriction ease. However, we remain cautious on the future recovery as the European governments, especially the German government, are still carefully monitoring the situation regarding the Delta variant and a potential impact from it. Looking ahead, uncertainties brought by the pandemic may exist for a longer than expected time, and we expect to be well prepared to overcome any business turbulences in the near term. Nevertheless, in the long term, we have high confidence in China's future economic growth and think the upward trend of the China lodging industry remains intact. Therefore, We will be implementing our strategies, such as further penetration of low-tier cities, speeding up of upper middle scale and upscale segments, organizational upgrades and talent acquisition, as well as concentration on high-quality hotel expansion to support our sustainable growth. With that, I will turn the call to Jinghui to update our recent business developments. Thank you.
好，谢谢季琦。按照惯例，跟大家阐述一下近期的经营的恢复情况，请大家翻到第2页。从2季度来看，4月、5月的 RevPAR 恢复到2019年的100%和106%，呈现上升趋势。
Thank you, Jiqi. As usual, I will discuss our recent business recovery trend in details. Please turn to page 2. For the second quarter, our RevPAR recovery shows upward trend, with RevPAR in April and May recovered to 100% and 106% respectively.
但如季琦前面所说，由于5月末广东疫情和北京流控管控，6月的 RevPAR 速度有所放缓。如果我们剔除广东和北京的影响，全国其他地区的恢复趋势还是不错的。
However, as mentioned by Jiqi earlier, due to the COVID-19 resurgence in Guangdong and traffic control in Beijing since late May, our RevPAR recovery in June slowed down. If we excluded the impacts from the Guangdong and Beijing, our RevPAR recovery for the remaining areas was on track in June.
7月末以来，南京遭遇了新一轮的德尔塔疫情，并蔓延至全国多个地区，导致全国旅行限制加码，出行需求大大降低。更为重要的是，8月通常是暑期的旺季，在往年高基数的影响下，我们8月截至23号的 RevPAR 仅为2019年的46%。
Unfortunately, since late July, a new wave of Delta variant of COVID-19 was detected again in Nanjing and spreading into many other cities in China. Post that, the government imposed another round of strict traveling restriction, which negatively affected traveling demand. It significantly affected our business, as August was normally a peak season for traveling. Therefore, due to the impacts from the Delta variant and the historical high base, as of August 23rd, our RevPAR only recovered to 46% of 2019 level.
所幸的是，在这个新一轮的疫情在中国政府强有力的管控下得到了有限的控制。目前新增病例较峰值持续减少。
However, we saw the recent wave of Delta variant has been largely contained, given the good prevention measures posted by the government. The newly confirmed case declined significantly from the peak.
请大家翻到第3页，在酒店发展方面，今年上半年新签约酒店的数量创了华住历史的新高，达到了1502家，较去年同期增长了50%。
Please turn to page 3. For the hotel development, we achieved a record high number of new signings at 1,502 for the first half of this year, increased by nearly 50% year-over-year.
我们下沉市场的战略依然在加速推进。从现有管道酒店和新签约管道酒店可以看出，在低线市场占比超过了50%。
At the same time, our lower tier cities penetration is further accelerating. Lower tier cities proportion accounted over 50% for both our current hotel pipelines and the new signings.
同时，我们含管道酒店的城市覆盖数量也首次超过了1000个，相比较去年同期增长了200个城市。
Moreover, we have already penetrated into over 1,000 cities as of June, including both hotels in operation and pipeline, added 200 cities compared to the same period of last year.
但需要注意的是，在德尔塔疫情的影响下，各地均出现了较为严格的出行管控和流动性的限制，因此当月的签约和营建进度也受到了一些影响。
However, please note that Given the travel restriction due to the Delta variant of COVID-19, as we mentioned above, our recent new signings and construction progress were also negatively affected.
请大家翻到第4页，在我们中高端领域，我们将采用多品牌战略来挖掘更多的市场发展机会。在我们品牌矩阵中，中高端定位的品牌包括了橘子水晶、陈记、美居、曼星、美伦和诺福特。
Please turn to page 4. For our upper middle hotel segment, we will use multi-brand strategy to further exploring the market opportunities. Our up middle hotel brand portfolio includes Crystal Orange, Intercity, Mercure, Manxin, Madison, and Novotel.
截止2021年6月，中高端在营酒店数量为406家， pipeline 的数量为248家。预计在2023年，我们中高端酒店数量含 pipeline 的数量将超过1000家。
As of June 2021, we have total of 404 upper middle hotels in operation and 248 in pipeline. We are targeting to achieve over 1,000 upper middle hotels in operation and pipeline by the end of 2023.
7月9日，我们宣布了斯伯格品牌与保时捷设计合作全新酒店品牌，是我们在高端和豪华酒店领域的突破。请大家翻到第5页。
On 9th of July, we announced a license agreement between Steigenberger and Porsche Design Group to establish a joint hotel brand. This is another breakthrough into the upscale and luxury hotel segment globally. Please turn to page 5.
我们计划在未来10年，在全球国际化大都市的核心地段，至少开业8家斯伯格保时捷酒店。
We are planning to open at least 8 hotels in next 10 years. Those hotels will be all located in prime area of international metropolises.
犹如一些国际酒店集团与奢侈品牌的联名合作，斯伯格和保时捷的合作能够大大提升斯伯格品牌的品牌定位和国际知名度，为我们在高端酒店的发展带来更多的市场机会。
Similar to other international hotel brands cooperation with luxury brands, our cooperation with Porsche Design brand will further enhance our Steigenberger's brand positioning and awareness globally. It would help us to catch more opportunities in the upscale and luxury segments in the future.
请大家翻到第6页。随着我们下沉市场的布局，大家关心我们会员体系和低线城市的匹配程度，以及为低线酒店的送客能力。我们很高兴地看到，我们在低线城市酒店中央预订的占比也已经达到了56%，几乎接近高线城市的比例，进一步验证了我们下沉的能力。
Now, please turn to page 6. Along with our lower tier cities penetration, our membership program synergies to lower tier cities and ability on traffic generation to hotels are the most concerned parts that you may have. We are very happy to see that our CRS contribution in lower tier cities achieved to 56%, very close to the higher tier cities. It demonstrated our ability to further penetrate into lower tier markets.
请大家翻到第7页。我们始终强调数据安全是华住的生命线。首先，我们集团为此专门成立了信息安全委员会，设置了专职此项工作的信息安全中心。
Please turn to page 7. We constantly emphasize on the data security matters, and it is the bottom line and the highest priority for Huazhu. First of all, we have established the information security committees and set up the information security standard.
其次，我们的数据均采用本地化保存方式。最后呢，我们也通过了一系列国际国内的安全认证。如图所示，2019年，华住通过了 ISO 27001认证，是国内第一家获此认证的酒店集团。2020年，华住通过了 ISO 27701认证，华住成为通过该认证的国际酒店管理集团之一。此外，华住还获得了 PCI DSS 支付卡行业数据安全标准认证。
Secondly, our data are all saved locally. And lastly, we had received various certificates on data security. As shown in our slides, in year of 2019, Huazhu became the first domestic hotel group which received ISO 27001 certificate, and in 2020, Huazhu became one of the global hotel groups which received ISO 27701 certificate. Additionally, Huazhu has also obtained the PCI DSS payment card industry card data security standard certificate.
请大家翻到第8页。在收购 DH 之后，我们启动了500天数字化改造项目。目前该项目的具体功能和系统已经搭建和准备完成。接下来，全球数字化平台将进行功能推广阶段。我们预计今年年底前将推广至 70% 的 DH 酒店，明年将覆盖所有的 DH 酒店。
Please turn to page 8. After we acquired Dodge Hospitality, we launched 500 days digitalization plan for it. As of second quarter, all functions and system setup is completed and ready to use. We are now in the stage of massive rollout, with targeting to roll out to 70% of DH hotels by the end of this year and 100% completion next year.
接下来有请叶飞为大家讲解华住2季度经营和财务的数据情况。
With that, now I will turn the call to Ms. Ye Fei to discuss our second quarter operational and financial performance.
Thank you, Jinhui. Good morning and good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Let's move on to our operational and financial review for the second quarter of 2021. As shown on slide 10, our hotel network expanded by 15% in the second quarter to 692K rooms compared to the second quarter of last year of 599K rooms. Excluding DH, Legacy Huazhu's hotel network expanded by 16% year-on-year to roughly 668K rooms in the second quarter. For our hotel turnover in the second quarter, our total turnover grew by 98% year-on-year to RMB 13 billion in the second quarter. It was mainly due to our continuous network expansion in China and the initial recovery of Deutsche Hospitality's operation, as well as the low base for both China and the European business last year. Excluding DH, Legacy Huazhu's hotel net turnover grew 95% year-on-year to RMB 12.7 billion in the second quarter and recorded a 45% increase if compared with the second quarter 2019. The growth is mainly driven by the hotel network expansion under the asset-light model. Turn to page 11. Legacy Huazhu's blended RevPAR for the second quarter grew 2% from 2019 to RMB 210. The ADR in the second quarter grew by 8% to RMB 255 compared to 2019, while the occupancy in the second quarter is still 5% lower compared to 2019. It was mainly caused by the COVID-19 situation, especially the resurgence in Guangdong province and also the traffic control in Beijing in June. Turn to page 12. Our legacy DH business saw initial recovery in the second quarter since German government imposed a lockdown from last November. Thanks to the continued progress of vaccination and the restriction ease, our legacy DH blended RevPAR for the second quarter grew 26% to 20 euro compared to the second quarter of 2020. The occupancy improved by 6 percentage points compared to the last second quarter last year, while the ADR dropped by 6% to euro 82. Please see our financial results on slide 13. Total net revenue grew by 84% year-on-year to RMB 3.6 billion in second quarter 2021. Excluding DH, Legacy Huazhu recorded an 85% year-on-year growth rate to RMB 3.4 billion. The revenue was slightly below our previous guidance. It was mainly due to the COVID-19's resurgence in Guangdong province and traffic control in Beijing, as mentioned before. Excluding the impacts from the above-mentioned areas, the revenue growth was actually in line with our previous guidance. Breaking down the revenue of the second quarter, leased and owned revenue increased by 85% year-on-year to RMB 2.3 billion. Excluding DH, the leased and owned revenue of Legacy Huazhu grew by 84% year-on-year to RMB 2.1 billion. Net revenue from managed and franchise hotels grew by 89% to RMB 1.8 billion, mainly driven by the 89% year-on-year growth of Legacy Huazhu. Due to the further expanding hotel networks with asset-light model, managed and franchise revenue contribution enlarged to 36% in the second quarter, compared with the 35% in the second quarter 2020 at the group level. For Legacy Huazhu, the managed and franchise model also expanded to 38% in the second quarter 2021, compared with 37% a year ago. Now let's move on to the cost and profitability section on slide 14. In the second quarter 2021, the reported operating income turned positive to RMB 629 million, compared to a loss of RMB 494 million last year and a loss of RMB 575 a quarter ago, mainly due to the business recovery in both China and Europe. Excluding DH, the Legacy Huazhu's operation income in the second quarter 2021 was RMB 763 million, compared to a loss of RMB 207 million last year and a loss of RMB 172 million a quarter ago. The hotel operating costs and other operating costs for the second quarter 2021 was RMB 2.8 billion, increased by 28% year-on-year. The cost increase was mainly driven by the Legacy Huazhu, which recorded RMB 2.2 billion hotel operating cost, indicating a 29% year-on-year growth. The increase was mainly attributable to the higher rental cost of the new upscale hotel, higher hotel level personnel costs as we expand growing our hotel networks rapidly, and the higher D&A, depreciation and amortization costs, which were related to the upscale hotel openings and upgrading of existing hotels. As we mentioned in the previous quarters, our future expansion of upscale hotel will mainly use asset-light model. Therefore, our pre-opening costs declined by 84% year-on-year and 20% Q-on-Q to only RMB 16 million in the second quarter of 2021. Our SG&A in the second quarter 2021 increased by 49% year-on-year to RMB 553 million, mainly driven by the increase of Legacy Huazhu. Excluding DH, the SG&A for Huazhu increased by 71% year-on-year to RMB 423 million. The increase was mainly attributable to the increase of selling and marketing expenses due to the revenue recovery, the increase of headcounts for our BD team to support penetration into lower tier cities, the increase of personal cost for upscale business unit, and the increase of the IT investment as well. Other operating income in the second quarter 2021 increased by 121% to RMB 362 million, mainly due to the 38 million euro subsidy received from the German government. This is related to the 2020 lockdown period. Turning to page 15, our adjusted EBITDA income turned positive to RMB 1 billion, compared to a loss of RMB 97 million a year ago. DH's EBITDA loss in the second quarter was RMB 73 million, narrowed from RMB 235 million last year, mainly due to the government subsidy. Excluding DH, Legacy Huazhu recorded adjusted EBITDA income of 1.1 billion RMB, grew by 709% in the second quarter of 2020. In the second quarter of 2021, we recorded adjusted net income of RMB 464 million, compared to a loss of RMB 476 a year ago. Excluding DH, Legacy Huazhu recorded an adjusted net income of RMB 579 million, compared with RMB 253 million loss in the second quarter of 2020. The non-GAAP pro forma adjustment mentioned on this page included unrealized gain or losses from fair value change of equities related to some of our investments. Coming to the cash position, we further lowered our net debt of RMB 4.4 billion by the end of second quarter, compared with RMB 5.2 billion by the end of first quarter, and there's no risk of breaching the financial covenants of the US dollar $1 billion syndication loan. Our cash balance was RMB 6.2 billion, and the unutilized bank facilities was RMB 6.8 billion. This cash and bank facilities would allow us to further pay down Huazhu's bank debt in 2021 and also 2022 CB, and also will be used to weather any unforeseen circumstances. Coming to DH's update on page 18, the recovery is coming to the right direction, although the path is bumpy. Vaccination commenced since December 2020 has been speeding up in the second quarter of 2021. Restrictions were eased especially toward people who recovered from COVID-19's infection and people with either complete injection or negative test results. As of August 23rd, about 64% of German population have received at least one shot, and 59% of the whole population were fully vaccinated. DH's occupancies rises continuously from about 19% in Q1, 24% in Q2, and now is about 50% in the August summertime. The recovery ratio compared to 2019 is about 54% in July and 67% in August month to date. Meantime, DH is taking further actions to reduce costs and preserve cash, including negotiating for lease waivers, streamline overhead at both hotel and headquarter levels. The impact of the extension of the lockdown would be also partially offset by the short-term worker allowance and also the special government subsidy, of which 38 million euro subsidy has been successfully received and recorded in Q2 relating to the 2020 lockdown. The company is still working towards more government subsidy, which would be related to the 2021 lockdown. The company's cash position is sufficient and still has another 12 million euro credit line available. Turning to page 19 on guidance. Considering the impacts of COVID-19's resurgence in Guangdong and traffic control in Beijing since late May, and the impacts of Delta variant spreading from Nanjing to several cities in China recently, we lowered our Q3 and full-year revenue guidance. For the third quarter of 2021, Huazhu expects net revenue growth to be in the range of 8 to 12% compared to the third quarter of 2020, and 4 to 8% if excluding DH. To provide a more meaningful guidance excluding the impact of COVID-19, Huazhu expects net revenue growth will be in the range of 12 to 16% compared to pre-COVID-19 results in the third quarter of 2019, and the net revenue reduction will be in the range of 3 to 7% if excluding DH. For the full year of 2021, we now expect the net revenue growth in the range of a 29 to 33%, or to the range from 34 to 38% if excluding DH. To provide a more meaningful guidance excluding the impact of COVID-19, Huazhu expects the net revenue growth will be in the range of 17 to 21% compared with pre-COVID-19 results of 2029, or to the range from 2 to 6% if excluding DH. Please note that our current revenue guidance is based on the expectation that the recent Delta variant of COVID-19 resurgence can be well contained by the beginning of September. However, given the future situation of pandemic is still uncertain and unpredictable, we may need to adjust our guidance accordingly. We also keep the gross opening target of 1,600 and 1,800 hotels unchanged, but the signing speed of the new pipeline and the construction of the new hotels in the next few months will be affected as well. With that, let's open up for Q&A.
As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. To withdraw your question, press the pound or hash key. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A roster. Your first question comes from the line of Yan Ho from TH Capital. Please ask your question.
Good morning, management. I have two questions, and would you please give us some color on the member situation? How so in 2Q, how many members newly added, and what is your channel for member acquisition? So that is number one question. Number two, in your Q3 guidance, and what do you see Q3 guidance? What do you see in China in terms of traveling, hotel, demands as well as COVID? It seems like the COVID here and there always pop up. So I just wonder how, in this guidance, how much do you already see in your guidance? What's the base for your Q3 guidance, domestic guidance? Thank you.
Let me just switch to the English. I think that I can answer the first question and then turn to Mr. Jin Hui for the second question. In Q2, from the membership recruitment, the number was 6 million increased. Okay. Anyway, I think that we continue the best practice to develop a new member, to develop a member recruitment, such as something like the hotel-based from the all service touching points, just to be transferred to the member, and how to make sure the something like the frequency. Okay, but anyway, I think that from the second way, this is we encourage our team and just to develop like the B2B and the B2C from the local sales team and corporate sales team. And number three, this is the most important, that something with the innovation. This is we do a lot of partnership with the B2B to C or B2B to B, such as just Alipay and WeChat, and even like Didi, we do this kind of a partnership with a many useful way to do the external, the membership recruitment. That's for my question for number one. Thank you.
我来回答一下第二个问题。确实，中国政府采用了相对比较严格的流动管控和严格的疫情防控的措施，对我们未来的经营预测和经营恢复的这个展望造成了比较大的困难。目前的经营的恢复率是基于整个疫情可以得到控制的前提下做的历史的数据的分析。我们预测在今年的3季度，华住的整个恢复度会在70%到75%之间，第4季度可能在90%到95%，但犹如我开场所说的，这一切是基于整个疫情没有大规模反复的前提下做出的。
For our Q3 revenue guidance, we have to admit that the Chinese government had imposed a very strict traveling restriction and a provision control measurements. It's really affected our business performance recently. For the Q3 guidance and full year guidance, our current estimate and expectation for the RevPAR recovery for the third quarter on the same hotel level, we are expecting the RevPAR in third quarter will be recovered to 70 to 75% of 2019 level, and 90 to 95% of in fourth quarter of 2019 level. Again, as I mentioned previously in my prepared remarks, our current focus and the revenue guidance are very much based on there will be no massive COVID-19 resurgence happen again in the remaining of this year. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all my question.
Your next question comes from the line of Praveen Choudhary from Morgan Stanley. Please ask your question.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my call. I have two questions. The first one is about lower tier cities. I just wanted to understand what are the challenges that you are facing in lower tier cities? It seems like it's going very well based on the pipeline, but if you can talk about any challenges that you're facing in future. And the second one relates to the other strategy, which is upscale strategy. Wanted to understand what portion of upscale hotel opening would be in lease and operating versus a franchise and managed. The reason for asking this question is to understand how long will it take before you can have a good size of these hotels, and during that time, what kind of cost do you have to incur? Remember, previously you used to have very big pre-opening expenses. Should we worry about similar expenses going forward? Thank you.
好，我先来回答第一个问题。关于下沉市场，目前华住应该讲在签约和节奏上符合我们的预期，但是确实会遇到一些新的挑战。这个挑战主要在于本土化的销售能力和对接客户需求的这个品牌的适配。这方面我们也在积极展开对应的这样的一个工作和整个调整的适配，去更好的符合下沉市场的客户的需求和这些客户的销售渠道。
Okay. So for the lower tier cities, actually the lower tier cities penetration is progressing pretty well, but we have to say that we are still facing some of the challenges, especially for the local sales and also matching and meeting the local customers' demand. For these areas, we are continuously adjusting our strategies and especially on the sales team to improve this area for helping us to further penetrate.
第二个挑战在于面对下沉市场，搭建属地化的强有力的员工团队。这方面华住也在展开积极的下沉的人才战略的这样的一个部署。
In addition, we also trying to building up localized employment and the staff team, and also supporting our lower tier cities penetration as well.
为此下沉区域的发展，我们将对局部的基于中国省级的管理做出一些组织升级和改造。
We will be doing quite a lot of organizational restructuring, especially for those lower tier cities in different districts and areas.
我们针对中国市场，我们把这个整个市场分成大的4个档次，一个是经济型，第二个中档，第三个中高档，第四个是高档。我们认为中国目前的这个市场，我觉得对华住来说，包括市场本身来说，最有趣的、最有意思的，就是在中高档和以下。高档市场，我们认为是一个存量整合的时代，而不是一个增量的时代。大家都知道，高档市场实际上长期以来是地产商和政府的一个叫什么地产的工具和附属的，而不是一个真正的一个投资的或者是一个行得通的这么一个商业模式。这个存量巨大，我们的未来的重点，我们跟融创的合资主要是做融创的增量，用增量来树立旗舰店，但是我们的根本的目的是要整合渗透到中国的广大的存量市场，这里包括1线、2线和3、4线。所以说，华住在高端上，我们有很多品牌，很多做法，包括跟雅高的合作，包括跟融创的合资，包括我们自己的自创品牌，未来不排除还有其他的一些方式。我们在高端上，我们会摸索一套新的打法。新的做法，从经营管理、人才拓展方式，但是租赁模式就停止了。我们认为在租赁模式在高档行不通，在高端我们可能会用特许，可能会用管理，可能甚至会用插片式的服务收费，可能会用猛广来做这样的技术性的服务。我们高端目前是一个就是积累知识、摸索、探讨、布局的阶段，不是收割的阶段。当然，我们很多新闻、很多报道看上去很美，看上去很漂亮，而且看它，但是高端我觉得是一个准备的阶段。不好意思，有点长。
Okay. For Huazhu, we divided the hotel segment into 4 segments, which including economic middle scale, upper middle scale, as well as the upscale. Within these 4 segments, we always think the most interested part as well as the attractive area is those upper middle scale and below, and include those economic middle and upper middle scale. And for the upscale segment, for China market, it's more like a consolidation story. As you may know that the upscale hotel segments in China was kind of a supplementary for the property developers as well as for the government. It's not a real market-driven investment. Many years ago, there's a lot of existing hotels in the market. For Huazhu, we have been cooperating with Sunac through the joint venture, and we will do some incremental hotels in this area. But in the longer term, we will also trying to consolidate the market by leveraging our capabilities. And for the developing model, we will no longer use the lease and own business model. We rather choose a franchise or hotel management contract, which is the asset light. In current stage, we are still exploring and learning and doing the research in the upscale hotel segment, rather than the timing that we are going to get some return from those investments. Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Yulin Zhang from Haitong International. Please ask your question.
Hello, good morning, management. Thank you for taking my question. My question is regarding the DH Hotel. I was wondering to what extent you can improve the margin profile of DH Hotel by the digitalization, as you just mentioned. Any quantitative matrix would be helpful. Thank you.
As we just shared for the DH, the progress, okay. I think that up to today, we just fulfilled the one global digital platform ready. And now this is we already launched the massive rollout in the DH for all the hotels. As we shared before, the one digital platform is not only focused on the business operation efficiency, but also just to do something like the loyalty and even the CRS contribution. We hope that we can improve the CRS contribution from the before. I think the very original the version now around the 1% or 2%. We hope that we can achieve in the coming new year to achieve around the 20%. This is the target, the business target. On the other hand, we're not only just to focus for the CRS contribution, but also to pay the serious attention to the global loyalty platform, such as the recruitment, the membership recruitment. According to the current plan, we would like just to officially launch the new global loyalty program. We call it, this is a H-word, will be released officially at the beginning of October. It's a system program, not only focused for the one point. We hope that we can very quickly just to deploy the one digital platform for all hotels in DH, and then we can achieve the business value in the coming several years, by the business integration program, by the operation efficiency improvement program, by the CRS contribution and the global loyalty. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, this is May. I just wanted to build on Xinxin's point. I think you asked a very good question. Right now, I think it's still too early to tell you the margin improvement of digitalization because we are still in the first phase of setting up the infrastructure and preparing for the rollout. Right now, the company's focus is still sharpening the brand and reducing the loss of operation and then bringing the brand back to Asia. But your question is very important, and it's also our midterm target as well. I think, putting into more digital equipments and also solutions can help strongly support the company streamline its organization. Right now, we have a rough target that we probably need to optimize like 20 to 30% of the staff, both in the headquarters and also the operation level, through the several years program. And I believe this will contribute at least several percentage points regarding the margin improvement.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Your next question comes from the line of Simon Chung from Goldman Sachs. Please ask your question.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I got two questions. I remember in the first quarter you mentioned something related to the cleanup of the hotel, in particular on Yilan, some of the lower branded hotel. Wanted to get a sense about the update, and it's grateful to see that you maintain your gross net guidance full year 1.6 to 1.8 thousand. Wanted to get a sense, how is the trend looking like, perhaps quarter to date in the third quarter, and your confidence level of achieving that target. What sort of assumption you have baked in in order to achieve that guidance? That's the first question. The second one, if I use your forward guidance, the revenue guidance excluding or not excluding DH, it's seemingly like that you are expecting, the revenue for DH would jump to around, call it 600 million RMB in the fourth quarter, compared to, I think, second quarter, you're running at about 254, so doubling. I think that's basically all driven by RevPAR, supposedly. So at that level, would you expect your EBITDA to be breaking even for your DH operation individually? Thank you.
关于宜来，确实是原来专注在中国的经济型非标市场或软品牌的这个市场，在经济型华住布局了大量的品牌，我们希望在中国经济市场有一个充分占领的这样的一个未来。为此我们在你好品牌，在还有品牌，面对不同的经济型市场，开展新的这样的一个品牌的建设和突破。宜来确实会逐步的进行高质量的管控，我们将逐步的淘汰很多不符合标准的这个产品，但是整个在经济型领域的大的增长，我们还是保持非常乐观的这样的一个趋势的展望。
For Eli brand, as you may know, it was our soft brand. It used to penetrating into the economic segment, but you may also know that we have many other brands in this segment, including Ni Hao, Hai Yin, and we are using different products to further penetrate and enlarge our market share in this segment. And for Eli, for sure that we are continuously going to do a quality control and eliminating those unqualified Eli from our operations as well as pipeline.
So Simon, I wanted to clarify your question regarding the DH. I think your first one is asking about the guidance for the fourth quarter of DH's revenue. Is that correct? And also the second one is that you wanted to understand the development of DH in Europe.
Yeah, correct. Because I'm just using your full year guidance versus your third quarter guidance. Seemingly, you're baking in quite a bit of a step up in terms of fourth quarter revenue expectations. So if that were to be achieved, then would you be able to turn EBITDA breakeven by fourth quarter this year? That's really the questions.
I think first of all, I think the fourth quarter probably we are generally positive about DH improvement of occupancy, but we still be cautious about the recovery given there might be a fourth wave of the Delta variant on the way. So I think we based on our guidance, the revenue for the fourth quarter is certainly will be the highest among all the quarters. But however, it's still, I think it's still not reached the break-even point yet. But having said that, the company is still working hard on striving for another government subsidy, which is related to the 2021 lockdown.
Understood.
That's a DH. And on the development of a DH brand, first of all, as we mentioned before, we're bringing DH's major brand back to China, particularly Steigenberger and also Steigenberger, Porsche Design, etc., and also Intercity, and also the Max brand as an upscale brand as well. That's number one. And in Europe, we are positive about the market consolidation in the lower tier segment, especially the economy and mid-scale segments. And DH's brand is actually enjoy a pretty good market reputation especially in terms of intercity in Germany and Zilip in the northern part of Europe. So we're going to continue to grow these two brands, combining both lease model and also management franchise model in Europe. And in the meantime, we'll also sharpen the top brands like the Steigenberger and the Max by further improving the product design and also infrastructure facilities as well, in order to establish the Steigenberger as a truly upscale brand in the European markets, and also trying to find the right expansion model across the globe.
Understood. Thanks a lot. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Bruce Mee from UBS. Please ask your question.
Hi, management. Thanks for taking my questions. So I have two small questions. The first one is, as you previously mentioned, one of the challenges when penetrating into lower tier cities is to meet different franchisees' demand on brand. So may I ask, currently for the hotels in pipeline and new signing in lower tier cities, how much are from the core brands such as Hanting and G Hotel, and how much is soft brand? And my second question is that if we look at the same brand, so how is the take rate in lower tier cities compared with tier 1 and tier 2 cities? Thank you.
在下沉的市场发展里面，汉庭和全季依然是我们最重要的品牌。汉庭全季目前在整个下沉的发展里面，占整个签约比例大概在70%到75%。剩下的这个多品牌或者是这个多样性的品牌，也在不同的这个下沉过程当中，包括像星辰、橘子、你好。还有都有不同的表现，但主力目前确实是以汉庭和全季为主。
For our current lower tier cities penetration, currently from our new signings, G Hotel and Hanting brand are still the key brands for the penetration, and accounts roughly 70 to 75% of the new signings. And some other brands such as Starways, Orange, as well as Ni Hao are also progressing pretty well. Sorry, can you please repeat your second question?
Sure. So my second question is, if we look at the same brands, so for example, take Hanting as example. So how is the take rate, for example, the franchise fees compared between lower tier cities and tier 1 and tier 2 cities? So I just want to understand in the margin comparison between the lower tier cities and tier 1 cities.
目前我们采用的汉庭和全季的整个 take rate 是跟1、2线城市是一样的。第二个，如果这个PPT 所示，我们在下沉市场的这个 CIS 的收费也达到了我们原来的1、2线的水平和我们自己的经营预期，所以 take rate 现在从百分比角度来讲是一样的。
Our take rate for Hanting and the G Hotel brands in the lower tier cities are very close to the higher tier cities, or at some similar level. As you may see that our CRS contribution in the lower tier city are very close to the higher tier city. Therefore, at the percentage perspectives, the charge rate or the take rates are very similar to each other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's all my questions.
I would like to head the conference back to today's presenters for any closing remarks. Please continue.
Thank you everyone for taking your time with us today, and we look forward to connect with you again in upcoming quarter. Thank you and goodbye.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.